I'm working though, so it's like, it's not, if like I wasn't working, then she would have to have, the money.
You have visas or green cards or whatever they're called.
No, you get a visa,
Yeah.
but because I'm working, I don't need her to show that she has enough money.
Here you
If I came here and I was like, I'm not working, I'm just gonna live with my wife,
Yeah.
then she would have to show.
Oh, right.
They don't have this in Rambam,
go. Maybe they do. Rambam is very,
very all encompassing.
it's very attractive. The French is so much instructions.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the CSQ you'll find.
No, Rambam is in
All right. Welcome. Rambam, the laws of Shabbos.
Are you serious?
Hmm?
We're still learning.
Yes.
Chapter,
Okay, we're in chapter 15.
person standing in the public domain. Yeah. Person standing in public domain.
Yeah.
Articles for public domain. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so this is about caring, right? A person standing in a public domain may move articles throughout a private domain. One second, I think it's got the picture over here.
In your home.
Right. A is a private domain. B is a public domain. So in here, B is a public domain. Oh, do you have a picture there?
No.
Oh, okay. I have over here.
I mean, like you have a suite in a public area.
One second, let me just see. I think that's the only picture I have. Oh, no, I got another picture.
No, I think it's so.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Give me a second. Hold on a second.
Wow. Picture here, ABC.
Oh, you do have a picture.
Picture.
Oh, you have it on the phone. Yeah, okay, same as I have here, yeah. Okay, so let's first read it, okay? So similarly, a person standing in a private domain may move articles within the public domain. Now I'm standing here in the public, and let's say this is a private domain, right? So I can stand over here. I can move things over here. I can't bring it from there to here because then that's bringing from one domain to another domain, right? But in this area, I could move things.
Yeah.
In this public domain, how far can I go?
4 cubits.
4 cubits, I can move something.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, look at that. You got the picture there.
A lot of people.
Okay. Huh?
How you share people for Rambam? Him, of course.
You know, David, you're amazing. Your color commentary. You should like do the hockey games. You know?
Everywhere.
Huh?
Him, everywhere. Like him.
Tim's coming to New York for Shabbat in the Heights. Yeah, next week. Yeah. Okay.
He's a happy puppy.
Huh?
He's listening.
Okay. So if he transfers an article beyond the distance, he is not liable because he is located in a different domain. Right. So if you're moving from here, things in here, doesn't matter. From here to there, because you're in a different domain, you're not in that domain. Similarly, a person standing in a private domain open up a door with a key in the public domain. One standing in a public domain may open a door with a key in a private domain. All right. Because even though now something is going to enter into the private domain, like the door enters, and you put in the key and the key stays there, let's say, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you can do that. You can open if you're going from one domain to the other, you can open the door.
Well, and if you leave the key there and the key goes into the private domain, it's okay.
Yeah, because that's on 4 cubits.
No, it's from one domain to another. No, that's not 4 cubits. If I'm, we learned this yesterday. This is let's say this is a public domain where I'm sitting, right? And this is a private domain, the table,
Yeah,
right? If I put my hand into this domain and I pick up this phone
yeah,
and bring it out like this, libel,
liable, okay.
right? Or the other way around, private and right?
Yeah.
Why? Because you cross domains. It's not
Yeah.
4 cubits,
Okay,
right? If I'm in the public domain and I have this and I walk more than 4 cubits, then libel,
oh, I
right?
see, okay, that's within the public domain.
Right.
But it's still crossing any domain.
Well,
You're
any
carrying-
crossing of any, well, public to private.
Public to
Let's
private,
just leave it
yeah.
at that because we also have, yeah, the basic
Okay, basic
public and
public,
private,
private.
okay? Okay,
Carrying, yeah.
Yeah.
right, exactly. Now, in that, just to give the full picture of what we spoke about yesterday, here I picked it up,
Mhm,
here I have to put it down.
mhm,
If I only take it and don't put it down,
mhm,
even though, shouldn't say that, hand is considered as if it's been put down,
mhm.
right?
You
Right.
give it to someone.
Well, no, let's say it was the other, let's say it was like this. Let's say I put my hand in, you put it in my hand.
Mhm.
I didn't pick it up. You put it in my hand and then I took it out.
Right.
Not liable, not allowed to do it, but you're not liable. Why? Because you need what's called akira and hanacha. Up, picking it up and placing it
Okay.
down.
Same person.
Right, the same person.
Yeah.
But if you put it into my hand and I put it, and I only put it down, so then you're not liable. Again, not permitted rabbinically,
Mhm,
but that's not called carrying biblically
mhm,
or transferring from one domain to another biblically.
mhm.
Okay?
Right.
So one may force feed an animal whose head is inside a stall, although the major portion of the body is outside. Right? So it's in a stall, so that's
Yeah.
private, but most of it is outside. One may not, however, force feed a camel unless its head and major portion of the body is within the stall, since its neck is long. So it's out of the stall,
Mhm.
right? There's private. A person should not stand in a private domain and extend his head into the public domain to drink, nor should he stand in the public domain and extend his head to the private domain to drink, unless he brings his head and the majority of body into the domain in which he is drinking.
Okay.
So I'm here, the water's over here, I can't go like this and take a drink,
Yeah.
right, from the tap or whatever,
Then you're-
right, unless I bring most of my body
Yeah.
inside there.
Okay.
Okay,
Just like the camel.
huh?
Exactly, same principle as the camel,
That's why you put it there.
because the camel has a long neck, so it's
Right.
not a.
Yeah.
It's not in the majority of its body.
Right. Yeah.
He's an amazing grandpa.
Yeah, he is.
When do the above restrictions apply? When he is drinking with attractive vessels that he needs. In this instance, the sages instituted a decree lest he transfer the drinking vessels. Aha. So, in other words, it's only because over here I'm taking a nice canister or whatever it is, a thermos that, a real nice thermos, and I want that. I like that thermos. So what are we worried? Am I going to drink from it? What am I going to do afterwards? I'm going to take it
Mhm.
and then bring it into this domain.
Yeah.
And therefore, because this is a rabbinic law, by the
Yeah.
way, the drinking, right? Because it's not a biblical law. It doesn't have anything of the biblical notions that we spoke about, right? Because you're not moving one thing from another,
Mhm.
right? You didn't move it from one domain. I went and took a drink over here. What's the problem? No problem.
Mhm.
Biblically, the rabbi said, no. If it's a nice vessel, right? Nice thermostat, and it's your thermostat we're talking about, right? So then what's gonna happen after you drink from it? You're gonna want to take it, and then you're gonna take it into the other domain.
Yeah.
So it's a decree that you shouldn't do that. Okay. If, however, the person uses vessels that are not attractive and which he does not require all that is necessary to bring in his head, then you could drink. So if it's a fountain, so I could be in the public domain over here, go over and, there's, I don't know, fountain in the private domain, and
Yeah.
just put my head over. All I have to have is my head there, and I could drink from it. Because remember, that's the whole reason you couldn't do it is only rabbinic.
Yeah.
Why the rabbi said, because if it's an attractive vessel that you may want to keep,
Yeah, then you might-
right, then you might then take it and bring it into the other domain. But if it's not something that you care for, so
Yeah.
there's not a problem. You could drink. It is not necessary that you bring the majority of his body in.
So Rambam like introduces this rule, and then right
No,
after,
one second. First of all, Rambam is based on the Talmud.
yeah,
So he's taking base on the Talmud, what the Talmud is saying. So that's where he's taking his rulings from. The way
Okay.
there'll be other commentators who will disagree. We've had many disagreements, right?
Okay.
Because they're learning the Talmud differently.
okay. But just my question is that this principle, what the Rambam takes from the Talmud, of that you can't, like, if you bring your entire body into it, that's okay. He introduces that, and then he introduces this other thing, which is actually saying that this is referring to only if it's a vessel that's not attractive.
Then he's modifying it.
Okay, okay.
He brings the principle, the
Yeah.
basic principle. Then
Yeah.
he's modifying. When does this principle apply? It doesn't apply all the time
Okay.
because the rabbis didn't make it. The
Yeah.
sages didn't make it to apply all the time,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, biblical laws we've been learning, right? Especially when Chassidus in the 7 in the morning, right? Right, 7:05. Thank you. With coffee, with David's coffee,
That's coffee.
best coffee.
I don't drink coffee there, but.
It's okay. We have decaf.
Well, you may have to start.
Final morning.
It's okay. One second. Can we get him some tea? If he doesn't like tea, can we get him some water? You get him some
You
water?
drink water?
Okay, he'll be here 7:05. David's water.
What about decaf?
Okay, so let's okay, enough. Okay, so he gives us the principle, then he gives us the modification or the parameters of that principle. You start with the principle, and then what are the parameters of that principle, right? Rabbinic law is going to be based then on reasoning. Biblical law, as we learn, doesn't have to be based on reasoning. God says that 3 years you can't have, as we learned in Chumash Rashi today, right? 3 years, the fruits of the tree are called arla. They're blocked. You can't have the benefit from it. Why? Just because. That's because. That's what God's decreed, right? So it doesn't need a reasoning for it. Rabbinic law does. Okay, so what's the reasoning? Why can't I put my mouth in there and just my head and to drink from the? I'm not doing anything wrong, right? I'm not doing anything wrong. Oh, the problem is that thermostat is a nice thermostat that you may want to take with you thereafter, and therefore you may draw it into the domain where you're standing, which then would be transgression of a biblical law. So that's the reasoning. Oh, well, that's going to be only then when it's a vessel that I would want to have. If I don't want to have it, then it won't apply. So the rabbi said you don't have to worry.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're hoping.
If the cistern of water is located in a carmelis, the above limiting applies even when the person uses vessels that are attractive. Now, a carmelis is, we learned yesterday, is not a public domain. It's not a private domain. It's actually rabbinic kind of, it's between 3 tvachim and 10 tvachim high, between 9 inches and 40 inches high. Is the domain, and it has to be more than 4 tefachs by 4 tefachs. That is not called a private domain, and it's not called a public domain. It's called a carmelis. It's a complete rabbinic space. Okay,
You're not bringing it from-
and so since it's not a public or a private domain, therefore there's going to be a leniency in this instance. We just spoke about from you're standing in the public and you want to drink from the private, or the other way around, right? So that is the most severe circumstance, to take from public to private to private to public, right? But a Carmelis is an in-between stage.
That's
So
what
then
it
that would be even more lenient. Then you could even use attractive vessels because because if you took it into the Carmelis, it won't be a biblical transgression.
It has no status, basically.
Well, it has a status. It's a rabbinic status.
Yeah.
No, it has a status. It has a status. You're not allowed to take the vessel from your private domain into the Carmelis or from the public domain into the Carmelis. You can't do that.
Okay.
But that's rabbinically.
Yeah,
So it's not going to be rabbinic on a rabbinic.
yeah,
That would be rabbinic on a rabbinic. So the rabbi said, no, we're going to be lenient there. And even attractive vessels, because the worst that's going to happen is that you're just going to bring it into the Carmelis, which is only a rabbinic
yeah,
place,
yeah.
space.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good.
Mhm.
Okay. If you got it, you're not good. You're great. 3. A person may stand in a public domain, extend his hand, collect water that is flowing from a drain pipe or of the wall while the water is in the air and drink, provided it does not touch the drain pipe or the wall, and collect the water from them. So what's the issue over here?
Oh, look at you see the.
Yeah, how would you get water from the air? Like a raining?
Or no, it's dripping from the drain pipe.
Oh, okay.
So it's, in the air, right?
And you can't use a vessel, you can only use your hand.
But if it's all in the same domain, wouldn't that not be a problem?
It seems to me that this is a rabbinic law,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Right, and the issue would be because we're afraid that you might be carrying with it.
Mhm.
But if you took it, no, actually, I'm not clear.
You can't take it if it's on your hand.
Oh, wait, it's saying later on if like the roof is in the private domain and you're in a public domain. So you're like reaching up to get something, water that's falling from the
If
roof.
I'm not, so you're in the public domain, and where the drain pipe is connected to the home, so maybe that's considered private. That's how I'm understanding it. So you're taking from the private to the public.
Yeah,
So that's the issue, right? But if you're taking it and it's water that's dripping and it's in the air, high more than 10 tefachim, so then that's no. Let's see. The following rules apply. Should 1 second. Why he does not touch the drain pipe or the wall.
Yeah, next paragraph is a lot.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So if you're taking it, I get because if you're touching the drain pipe, that means it's private.
yeah.
If you're taking it from the air, so it's already public.
Mhm.
That's the
Okay.
distinction. Okay. That's a distinction. Otherwise, that way because you're standing in the public.
Yeah,
The following rules apply. Should he in fact touch the drain pipe or the wall if the place that he touches is more than 10 handbreadths high and within 3 handbreadths of the roof, the act is forbidden. It is as if he removed the water from the roof, which is a private domain. Because 3 handbreadths, anything less than 3 handbreadths is considered, it's connected to whatever. 3 handbreadths and less is considered ground. Right?
okay.
So anything like less than 9 inches, for example, right, is considered like part of the ground.
So like if you had a pipe on the ground.
And you stood on that pipe, it's like you're on the ground,
Yeah,
right? If you're more than the 9, let's say 10 inches or more, right? So then it's considered separate. That's when it can be a Carmelis or even a Makom Patur, which means, right, a Carmelis, as we explained, was like a rabbinic space, right? And because it's more than 3 handbreadths, till 10 handbreadths. Okay?
Mhm.
So if you touches it more than 10 handbreadths high and 3 handbreadths, that act is forbidden. Because it's 3 handbreadths from the roof, so the roof is a private domain. So it's like you took from the private domain and you're standing in the
Oh,
public domain.
if you put like your cup up here and it was like 2 handbreadths under the pipe and you collected it, then that's wrong.
Private.
That's private, yeah.
Because it's connected to the roof.
Yes, yeah,
Right. And you're in the public.
yeah.
And then you drew it and you're drinking
But if
in
you
the
wait
public.
for it to fall like 4 handbreadths, then
Then
that's fine.
exactly. If you guys could probably see every week how you're getting smarter. I'm serious. I see it how you're getting smarter. I see it every week how you're getting smarter because no, I see you're also getting it more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Similarly, if the drain pipe was 4 handbreadths by 4 handbreadths, and one collected water from it, this is forbidden regardless whether the pipe is within 10 handbreadths of the ground or 10 handbreadths. Why is a person not held liable? Because the water is not at rest, but rather a continued flow. You're not allowed to do this, I think biblically even, or maybe not. But because remember we said, make sure I got this clear. Yeah, when water is not at rest and you taking it.
Mhm.
So remember, you need to uproot something, take something, pick it up,
Mhm,
and put it down.
mhm,
Water that's flowing is not resting,
mhm,
so there's no stoppage to it. There's no picking or whatever.
mhm,
So it's like flowing through your hands and going into your mouth. And right, that's what's happening.
mhm.
Right. It's not in a cup. If it was in a cup, be different, then that would be more severe, right? Because then it's resting in the cup. But here it's just flowing
It's free flowing.
straight into your mouth. So
Yeah.
therefore, that wouldn't be biblical, right? Even though it's coming from the private
Yeah.
into the public, but it's not, it's just flowing. So there's no picking up, putting down. So that's why you would not be held liable.
But it's still rabbinic.
But it's still not allowed to do it. Still not allowed to do it because
Because you could one day try to take it from, like, if it wasn't.
no, because this is a Carmelist now.
Okay.
Carmelist, remember, was anything that is higher than 3 up to 10 tvachim, like 40 inches. And because it's wide 4 by 4, so it's right, it's got to be also at least wide 4 by 4.
The fountain.
No, it's a drain it's like a large size drain and water's flowing from it, right? That's how they use. What was this talking? Is this talking just an idea here? No. How did they get water for themselves? So the rainwater that came from the roof, they had drainage that would lead for drinking water, right?
Mhm.
So they had these pipes. Right, so this pipe was a larger size pipe. So that pipe that was now coming from the roof. So if it was smaller, and it was high, close to the roof, so then we consider it like the private domain.
Yeah.
But here it's larger. It's a larger one, so it's considered like a Carmelist, this rabbinic kind of not here, not there. It's not private, not public, right? So now you're taking from there and taking the water. You're not allowed to take from a Carmelist into the public domain. You're in the public, right? And you're
Okay.
taking the water like this. Now, the reason why you're not liable, actually, the reason you're not liable is because it's a Carmelist. Why? What's it got to do with the flow? Oh, in this instance where if it's above 10 hand breadths, then it's not a carmelist anymore, it's private domain. So you're taking from private domain to the public domain, right?
Okay,
You're
yeah,
taking that water now
Yeah.
from that pipe. So
Yeah.
why is that? Why are you not liable?
because it's extending into this Carmelist area or it's.
No, it's not a carmelist. It's higher than a
I-
carmelist only goes to 40 inches.
Yeah.
Right?
Understood.
So this is above the 40 inches. This drain pipe is higher than the 40 inches from the ground, right?
Yeah,
But it's private.
Yeah.
So you're taking now that water from the private into you're drinking it in the public. Why is that not a biblical prohibition that you should be liable? It's a prohibition, but why is that? Why you're not liable?
because you're not carrying it, you're just drinking it.
That's not, no.
No, okay.
Well, if I drank it in a cup, I would be
Then you
liable.
would be- okay.
Come on, read what it says here. It says there, because it's a flow, it's a continuous flow. So
Okay.
there's no picking up and putting down.
Okay,
If it flowed into the cup, it
yeah,
rested,
yeah,
and right, and then I put it down by drink, and the rest it came to a place that
yeah,
has a picking up and putting down, so to speak, right?
yeah,
But when it came from the drain pipe, I just put my hands there. It didn't have a picking up and putting down.
you're saying that it.
So
flows
therefore,
through-
because of the flow, you're not liable
Mhm.
because you don't have those two elements that are
Yeah, then
necessary.
it's resting, okay,
Picking up and resting, right? There's no picking up.
Yeah.
Here, if it goes in the cup, you picked it up, it rested there, and now you're picking picking it up by drinking it, right?
This has something to do with the vessel.
No, this is without a vessel. I gave you that. If it was with a vessel, then you would be liable.
Reading it to the vessel,
We're saying you're to be doing it with your hands.
opposed to a vessel.
Right, as opposed to a vessel.
right.
We're talking about, I'm giving you, so he says over here, the Rambam, it's not liable. Why you're not liable?
Yeah, because it says the water is not at rest.
Because
Because
the
it's
water's
flowing.
flowing. There's no picking up, putting down.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Okay.
it does not stop at any time.
It doesn't stop at any time, right? Think about it. You remember that this is one of the ways that people got their water, right?
yeah,
It was raining and it came down and you didn't have any more water in the house. So you went outside to get some water. You're thirsty. And you just put your hands there.
Yeah.
You didn't put a cup. It's Shabbos. You can't.
yeah,
A cup, you can't do that. You can't carry the cup outside. So now you went and you put your hands there. Well, that's a problem if it's higher than the 10 tefachim, because then it's private domain.
yeah,
And you're standing in the public domain and you're taking water. You're not allowed to do that.
I
Okay?
get all this, I just don't get how this has to do with the Carmelite.
No, this second one is not a carmelist. If
Okay,
it's above 10 handbreadths, then it's private domain.
okay,
Below 10 handbreadths, then it is a carmelist.
so then in that case, then it's just rabbinically. prohibited.
Then it's rabbinic and it wouldn't be
You wouldn't be
liable.
liable.
But from the private to
Then
the
you are
public, you would, well, but you're not because you
Because
put
the
it into a
water's
cup
flowing, yeah.
because the water's flowing.
Yeah.
So therefore you're not liable, but it's still not allowed.
Okay,
Okay?
so the Carmelite is just like an area where it becomes like you're not liable, it's just rabbinic basically.
Yeah,
Because it's
you're never going to be
close
liable.
Yeah.
It's going to be prohibited, but
Prohibited.
you're not going to be liable
Yeah.
because it's never a biblical
Yeah.
place.
It doesn't
It's not a it doesn't fall under biblical law. Or biblical is only private, public,
Mhm.
private,
Yeah.
public.
Okay,
It's invisible.
Okay, the following rules apply. When a projection extends from a wall of a building near a window, if the projection is above 10 handbreadths high, then it's private, right? If it's above 10 hand.
yeah.
Well, no, projection is outside. No. So then it is handbreadths above the ground. Therefore, it's permissible to use the entire wall with the exception of the bottom 10 handbreadths.
So then it would be in the public.
No, we're talking about now in your house.
Yeah,
Now you're in your house and could you use this projection? You want to put a
put a plant on.
plant there. I don't know, plant, or you have some, it's cold outside and you will cool your coffee.
Yeah,
Can you put it on the projection?
yeah.
So since it's above 10 handbreadths, so it's not a
Not
carmelist
Oh, yeah, not.
and it's not public domain, because public domain only goes up to 10 handbreadths, right? Doesn't go further. right? So this is above it. Therefore, it's permissible to use the entire wall, except below it, you can't. Because below it is going to be now public.
Yeah, so it's considered part of the private domain. Like
That
extension,
protrusion.
That protrusion.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because it's 10 hand widths above the ground.
It's above 10
Yeah.
right. So he's giving like an example over here, this, right? The balcony, right? The lower projection
Right.
would be a problem. When does the above apply? When there is only one projection extending into the space. When, however, there are two projections extending from the wall. That's how they built back in the day, because they made projections because they used that as part of living space. You know, they had small homes, right? And part of living space was that you had projections that you used in many different ways, right? So when, however, there are two projections extending from the wall, one below the other, right? According to these restrictions apply when there are two projections. Okay, one below the other, even though they are both more than 10 handbreadths high, different rules apply. If the upper projection near the window is 4 handbreadths by 4 handbreadths in the area, it is forbidden, or it is a domain of its own right, because 4 by 4 is its own right. 4 by 4 now becomes its own domain. Anytime four handbreadths, right? 4 by 4, it becomes its own domain, right? That's the law, right? So
For the upper projection.
the upper projection,
This doesn't apply for just a single projection.
right? We're talking about two projections now.
If
the-
it's in public, it's in private domain,
Huh?
but it's in private domain now.
But the projection is on the outside of the house, remember, right? We're not talking about a projection inside the house, outside of the house, right?
Like a balcony.
Right, like a balcony, exactly, right? So that balcony has 4 by 4, right? For example. So it would be forbidden. One second.
Okay. So you leave it outside for Shabbos.
Right, no. So we're talking about, can you take now stuff from inside your house onto that projection, onto that
Yeah.
balcony?
If you leave it,
Right.
it's cool.
Huh?
If you leave it before Shabbos and use it then.
Then it's not an issue.
But now we're talking about two.
Accordingly, they cause the other, one second, so be forbidden. For it is a domain of its own right, the projection below it is a separate domain. This applies, oops. If the lower projection is not 4 by 4, because if it was 4 by 4, then it becomes its own domain too. Accordingly, they each cause the other to be forbidden. But the people in the two domains cannot jointly use the space as one domain because they're separate domains.
I don't.
It might have sounded.
I have to think about this. Okay, I didn't realize the time. I have to go. This is very geschmack.
The
But
NFC.
yes,
What can we do?
thank you.